What's happening, fellas? Feast your eyes on the class of 1975 Kawasaki F11. Absolutely stunning metallic blue with the silver fenders. Definitely an iconic piece. This one has 5,984 original miles. The engine's pumping out 175 PSI compression. It looks like new. It sounds like new. It runs like new. The Wizard put the tune on this one. The detail shop did their magic, and it's got a brand new paint job by Woody on there. So it is absolutely freaking gorgeous. Super, super rare to find one in this kind of condition. They're just becoming unobtainium. Well, heck, it's 50 years old, so there's plenty of them out there that are all worn out, need restos, but to find one like this that's done, it's once in a blue moon. Let me give you a quick riding demo on it. Do a walk around. Do you have my mic? This thing's an absolute joy to ride. So guys, she runs as good as she looks, and it is absolutely stunning machine. These 250s are a hoot to ride on road or off road. I think this one's too nice to drag it through the mud anymore, but it's probably earned its right as a trophy bike, museum piece, display bike, but definitely fun to ride around the back roads. If you want to take it through the woods, if you buy it and you want to run it hard, that's up to you. But there's over 100 hours of shop labor put into this bike between the paint, the detailing, and all the mechanics. So Wizard went right through this thing top to bottom. The previous owner had rebuilt the engine, so he inspected the entire engine with a boroscope, checked out the compression. It's 170 PSI, pulled the right side of the engine, clutch cover off, went through the whole clutch basket and everything, inspected everything, put new clutch springs in there, rebuilt the carburetor, went through the entire intake system. Let me just read the work order here in case I forget anything, but he went through all the mechanical stuff, and then the bike was completely dismantled. The tank, fenders, seat, wheels, suspension, everything came off of it, right down to the frame and engine block, and everything was totally restored. So new professional paint job on the OEM factory original tins. The suspension was rebuilt, new tires, new controls. Everything is fresh, runs better than new, ready to ride or display. So again, 170 PSI compression, super strong. The engine's real tight. Piston and rings are like brand new. The new NGK spark plug. Cleaned and inspected the battery box and replaced the battery with a new 6-volt battery. Has new Spectro 1040 gear lube. Cleaned and adjusted the ignition points. New clutch springs and reassembled the entire clutch cover. Adjusted the clutch. Replaced the counter shaft, sprocket, O-ring. Went through the entire fuel system, the intake and the exhaust after going through the engine and ignition. Flushed and inspected the fuel tank. The inside of the fuel tank looks brand new. It's I got to show it to you. It's remarkably clean for a 5-year-old bike, let alone a 50-year-old bike. It's exceptionally clean, and it doesn't have any Caswell liner. It's just a fresh, clean, original interior, well preserved original. So he flushed, cleaned, and inspected the fuel tank. The fuel tank was cleaned and treated with metal rescue to totally get any old fuel or any rust out of the tank. He rebuilt the original fuel petcock, installed a new fuel line and a new inline fuel filter, running fresh VP94 non-ethanol fuel. He cleaned, rebuilt, and tuned the carburetor with a new float needle and seat and a new pilot jet wizard at jetting, so it's jetted beautifully. Starts first kick. New float bowl gasket and screws. The airbox is cleaned and inspected, and a new uni air filter was oiled and installed. He removed the complete exhaust system and decarbonized it. Reinstalled the exhaust with new hardware. Of course, the exhaust was professionally restored. Painted the flat black or matte black finish on the pipe and the gloss black on the heat shield with new heat shield hardware. The oil injection was completely gone through. New oil injector lines, new oil tank vent line, cleaned and serviced the oil line check valve, filled the oil reservoir with new Bel-Ray two-stroke oil, verified the action of the oil injection pump, and bled the injection pump system. Then he went through the brakes, the tires, and chain, completely went through, adjusted and serviced the front and rear brakes, installed the new Regina, top line Regina Gold 525 final drive chain with a new 400 by 18 IRC rear Enduro tire. You can still see it still has the hairy nubs on there. New tubes and tires, front and rear. It has a matching 300 by 21 on the front. While the rear wheel was off, he put new rear wheel bearings in it, completely rebuilt the brake system, and went through the whole thing. The suspension and controls were gone through. He bought a set of replacement OEM shocks for it, and the forks were rebuilt with new fork seals and new Bel-Ray 10-weight fork oil. Installed a brand new set of OEM chrome replica handlebars, new OEM replica handlebar grips, a new front brake lever, adjusted the front and rear brakes, a new clutch lever, new speedometer cable, lubricated the control cables, cleaned and lubricated the hand switches, and then went through the entire electrical system, cleaned the light sockets and applied dielectric grease, installed a new horn assembly, a new 6-volt headlight bulb, a new OEM replacement turn signal assembly, and a new 6-volt taillight and turn signal bulbs. Also a new OEM 6-volt flasher relay and new 6-volt instrument bulbs. Serviced the front and rear brake light switch and set the tire pressures to 18 PSI and gave it a full nut and bolt 100-point check over. Then, as far as the paint and detailing, it's been given a full museum quality paint, detail, and restoration service. The tank is absolutely freaking stunning. It's straight as an arrow, no dents or dings. It has the correct factory original paint code with the correct factory original decals, and these are clear coated over just like they would have been from the factory. That will definitely last 50 years, that paint job. Front and rear fender were restored and painted the original color also. Just a spectacular job. Really well done by Woody. All new mounting hardware, has a brand new seat cover. The entire bike, when it was dismantled, every nut and bolt on it was steam cleaned, hand washed, polished, or painted or replaced. If you look at the aluminum, the engine cases were professionally polished, the aluminum engine cases, and then the Kawasaki logo on the side was repainted. This is a very labor-intensive process to make 50-year-old aluminum shine like chrome, like it did the day it came out of the showroom. If you look at the fork lowers, obviously when the front wheel was off, the fork lowers were also given the 3-stage polishing process and 3-stage polishing rouge, sanding with 320, 600, and 800 grit, and then polishing. And you can see the hub was also beautifully polished. The outside of it, the inside of it was vapor blasted. The spokes were clean. The original rim is in excellent condition. No sign of any off-road abuse or rock use on this bike. It's basically been a street rider its whole life, which is a lot of the Enduros that survived were used mainly on the street. The fork uppers were repainted. The has the original reflector here. The original chrome headlight is in excellent condition, as is the bucket. The tach and speedometer, beautifully preserved. Original tach and speedometer showing 5,985 original miles. Original ignition, original neutral, high beam, and turn signal lights all work. All the hardware is in good condition here. The turn signals are in excellent condition, as are the lenses. The engine covers were professionally polished, and the Kawasaki logo on the clutch side was repainted, and it was repainted on the shifter side also. You can see that was polished and painted. The engine cases were painted. The cylinder head was repainted, and the cylinder edge fins were sanded down on the bottom right from the factory, so it looks factory fresh. The cylinder head was repainted. The exhaust system, as I mentioned earlier, was restored and painted the original colors. The frame rails were all repainted. The swing arm, the frame was repainted. The bash plate on the bottom was repainted. The kickstand was restored and repainted. The swing arm was restored and repainted, as was the original chain guide. You can see the new chain, and all the hardware on the back here is in mint condition. Chain adjuster hardware. Everything's been gone through on there. Top to bottom, even the foot peg mounts are repainted. The skid plate was repainted. So she's absolutely freaking gorgeous, ready to ride to a show or take it to the beach today. It's a spectacular original classic that's been restored to original brand new condition. These Kawasaki's have legendary reliability. It's a 250cc two-stroke, so it's got plenty of horsepower. They rated it at the factory at 30 horsepower. Piston port induction keeps it simple. Tubular steel, full cradle chassis, excellent brakes and suspension. It's lightweight, weighs about 206 pounds. Low to the ground, easy to handle. The brakes are on point, front and rear. Like I mentioned, it runs and rides as good as it looks. So that's all the good news. The bad news is that the Wizard put 37.5 hours of shop labor on it. The detail shop spent 40 hours between all the polishing, plating, painting, and the paint shop put 30 hours into the restoration of the repainting the oil tank and the restoring the fuel tank, the oil tank, and the fenders was 30 hours. So there's 107.5 hours of labor. Now, I don't know what shops in your area charge, but there's not a legit shop that has insurance like we do and a license to do restoration work in the state of Connecticut that'll touch a bike for less than 175 bucks an hour. So there aren't any shops left that do this, and the ones that do, well, they're few and far between. We are probably the high watermark. I don't know any other shop that restores classics like we do in our area. Maybe there's a couple of mom and pop shops that do 1 or 2 bikes, a quarter, but we regularly are turning out beautifully restored classics like this one, and this one is a stunner. If you're interested in buying it, it's going up on eBay for auction, so it'll be sold to the high bidder. But looking at the parts, the cost of the service ticket alone, 107.5 hours at $175 an hour. If you bought it to a shop, that would be over $18,000 in labor, plus well over $1,000 in parts. You're looking at a service ticket of over $19,800. I know that sounds insane, but call any shop and give them this work order and ask them what if they can even do it. And you're probably looking at 6 months to a year on a turnaround, and that's what it's going to cost. The other option is do it yourself, but can you really do a bike like this in 107 hours? Can you even have the skill set of all the different, the electrical work, the engine work, the suspension work? There's many different trades involved. The upholstery, redoing the seat with a new seat cover, the paint work. You really need a half a dozen tradesmen to do a job like this. So no, we don't expect that we'll get what was invested into it, the close to $20,000 work order. As ridiculous as it sounds, that's what it comes out to for 107 hours labor plus parts to do a frame off in today's market. That's what it is. So if we're lucky, we'll get half what we have invested in it. We also had to purchase the original bike in good condition, and people aren't giving these away. So there's a big investment into it. Some of these become a labor of love where we get in too deep on it and there's no turning back. I mean, once you start a restoration like this, every nut and bolt has to be gone over. Otherwise it sticks out like a sore thumb, because the 50-year-old patina doesn't match the new paint job on the fuel tank or the new upholstery. So everything's got to be done. And we take great pride in what we do. This will be sold for a fraction of what it would cost you to buy one and restore it and pay a shop to do it. The only hope you'd have would be if you could buy one and do it yourself. Maybe find a paint shop that can do this kind of work in your area and outsource some of it, and a polishing shop, or learn all the trades yourself. But I don't know anybody around here a one-man band that can do this kind of work. So she's a stunner. It's not going to be cheap, but it's going to be worth it. It's an investment quality classic. These old two-strokes are going up in value. They don't make street legal two-strokes anymore, and they haven't for decades. This is a rare original classic restored in like new condition. So if you like it, give Junior a call, 860-454-7024. We'll have a reasonable reserve on this. in the auction that'll be less than half of what the service ticket is. So put that in your pipe and smoke it. If you have any questions, give us a call. I love you all. Thanks for watching, and God bless America.